Three.
Haiki, hani chara haiki. Ijan kisha na hini karigimi. Hoocąk rajra, choni najiwinga hingaidena. Maikre rajra, Tracy ga hingaidena. Hoocąk ra wawajena. Igi hunchikikarach hija wawajena. So, good morning. It's good to see each of you, and I welcome each and every one of you. My Hoocąk name is Choni Najui, which means she who stands in front or is the first to stand. My English name is Tracy. I am Hoocąk, and I am a part of the Bear Clan. So today what we're going to do is we're going to learn a little bit of our language, and it's a little different than the English alphabet that we use, okay, or that you use. So first we're going to just say the alphabet that is used in Hoocąk so you can start to hear some of the differences between that alphabet and the English alphabet. So if you just want to repeat the sounds after me. Which is like your nose is plugged up. Cha. I forgot B. Ba. Cha. E. Ga. Kha. Ha. I. Ja. Ka. Ma. Na. O. Pa. Ra. Sa. Sha. Da. U. Wa. Kha. Ya. Sa. Ja. That last sound has a word for it, but I can never seem to say it correctly. It's kind of like when you're little and you say cinnamon instead of cinnamon, or spaghetti instead of spaghetti. I can't say it, so I just say the sound, and it's kind of like somebody cuts you off from saying it, and that's what we heard when we said pa and sa, okay? So you can hear that there's some differences. We have a lot more letters because all of our vowels have multiple different sounds. Some of them are short, some of them are long, and some of them have the nasal sound. Also, I have realized, and I don't know if there's a reason for this, but we don't touch our teeth to our lips when we have any of our words. There's no F sound or B sound, so none of this is ever said. We also don't use the letter L in our language, or Q, because all of our letters have just the one sound, and we've been able to create our alphabet to be able to write it down for all of our words. So what I did bring today was the sheet of paper, and it has oikalra, which are numbers, okay? So we're gonna go through the numbers a couple times, and I'll say it, and if you can say it back to me. Hoocąk. Nuk. Dani. Jo. Sacha. Hakewe. Shagomi. Hoocąk. Hijanki Very good. And Kedapanija. So all of these, you see the number, and then you see a larger print. And that's the way that we spell it with our alphabet in Hoocąk. And underneath there is in tiny letters, and that is a pronunciation guide to help you using the English alphabet that you know very well. So you'll be able to take these home, you can practice them, you can teach them to other people. So let's do this one more time. Hoocąk. Nuk. Dani. Jo. Sacha. Hakewe. Shagomi. Hoocąk. Hijanki Kedapanija. Number 9, Hoocąk Chushkuni. I was 11 years old when I was learning the numbers, and it took me about 6 months to be able to say it. So if you got it, good job. So some of our words seem kind of hard, but that's because it's a different language. You're not used to it. But we're going to go through the animals too that are on this page, okay? The names of the animals aren't on the page. If I had realized I had time for that, I probably would have written them on there or brought another one, but you'll be able to still hear me say it and repeat after me. So we're going to go in the same order as the numbers. Horse is Hoocąk. Hunch. Cherchi. Shonk. Now let me point out, so dog is Shonk, and the horse is Hoocąk. Because when these horses first came here, we did not have a word for them. And so they kind of look like a big dog. And so the word for dog is Shonk, and when we put chate at the end of a word, it means it's big or greater. So we just called it a big dog, Shonk chate. Then we go back down here, and we've got squirrels. That's Zeke. Weejuk. Cha. Che. Wanik. And Ho. So those are the names of the animals that you see on here. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you the most important word, and it is Pihinagigi, which means you did good for me. It's kind of like thank you, but it's a little bit different because someone might have said something that made me feel better, helped me in some way, gave me something I needed or wanted. So I'm saying, no, you did good for me. So Pihinagigi. Good job. So one thing that you might want to know is that the Hoocąk lived here originally before any European settlers made it here. And so we used to, a long time ago, live all over Wisconsin. But as European settlers came in, we lived on smaller and smaller pieces of land, and then eventually they said, oh, you know what, you guys go move in Iowa. So they moved us to Iowa. Then they moved us up to Minnesota, then to South Dakota, and then to Nebraska. But that whole time, some of our ancestors were still sneaking back to Wisconsin and hiding out. And eventually, the United States and the Army were like, we have other things to do, we're gonna let you stay. And so, because of my ancestors who were stubborn enough to come back, I am living here in La Crosse. And before this was known as the city of La Crosse, it was a Hoocąk village. And we had a different name for it. Hinukwas'echa. You say Hinukwas'echa. And so we had small little camps and villages all up and down the river here by La Crosse. And so my family has been here for so long, and we actually still have land across the river over in Minnesota. What you could probably do right now is that you can see that there are some artifacts or some items that are in these display cases. And if you're able to read them, they all have the Hoocąk word with them as well, and then English, and explains them. We have baskets that were made out of black ash, and some people still make them. And actually, just a couple blocks down, one block actually, where the Duluth Trading Company is now, used to be a Dorflinger store. And a lot of Hoocąks would be sitting out there and selling those baskets to people. And they would sell them for like $2 or $3 back then. Nowadays, when you go and try and buy one at an antique shop or something, it's more like $80. So it's really, really cool when you can find one that isn't really expensive and still in good shape. But some people still do make them so that they're newer, but they are more expensive. And then there's some wooden bowls and a spoon. Those are the kinds of bowls that we would eat out of before, and we still do eat out of them sometimes. But on a daily basis, we still use regular plates and bowls and spoons and forks like everybody else does. And then there's some beadwork here. And a lot of people are fascinated with these moccasins, Wagujera. And actually, those were my grandfather's moccasins. That's what he wore when he danced, and these moccasins are over 50 years old. You can see that he danced pretty hard because they're pretty worn out. And then we also have a lacrosse stick. And if you've ever seen the game of lacrosse, you know that they're throwing the ball and catching it with this little net. And ours is like a little circle on top of it. And there's a little hand drum in here. And there are pipes. And the pipes were used because the Creator gave us this gift of tobacco plants. And we would use the smoke when we burn the tobacco, and the smoke would take our prayers up to the Creator. And that's why we use tobacco, and we still use it now to do the same thing. So, thank you, Pina Gigi, for listening and for participating, and I hope you have fun trying to say some of these words when you get home, and I hope you have a good rest of the day.
Pina Gigi.